Hey, welcome on. Welcome on to Branded, you guys. This is the podcast that takes you behind the scenes and beyond the brand to give you the clarity and confidence to challenge the status quo and show the fuck up in your own life. This is a big message.
Yes.
And today we're talking with Aimee Glass. Aimee, this is, I think, your third time on the podcast, previously known as Positive by Design.
Yes.
So thank you so much for coming back. And I'm really excited to have today's conversation about all the pivots you've been making.
Thanks. And I'm so grateful to be back on the podcast, and the rebranding is amazing. So I've been friends with Sarah for probably now, 18 months, just getting in her alignment and her flow, and then just going from next level to next level. And when something doesn't work, she just pivots and makes it even better. So it's just amazing to be on here, and we're chatting from two different parts of the world, which is also incredible. I sometimes have to pinch myself that it's amazing that we can do this. And
I know, right?
It's Saturday morning when I'm recording this.
I know Amy's in the future, y'all. It's like afternoon on a Friday in Texas for me, and it's Saturday morning for her. But that's what's so cool about it is, we met in a coaching program. We immediately hit it off. We stayed connected in Messenger, just getting to know each other, right? That's how really powerful collaborations start. They start with conversation. Like social media is about being social, right? So we just dove into that and we just got to know each other, and we decided, you know what? We can lift each other up and have conversations. We can interview each other. And at first, honestly, it kind of started as like practicing with each other, right?
With each other. Yeah.
How to find our voice, how to interview people, how to be on camera. Those things don't necessarily come naturally. So,
no.
So if people come across me now and they're like, wow, I just love what you're doing. You're so on point. It's like, it did not start that way. And Aimee saw the beginning.
To a point.
The thing is, once I embraced the fact that I say fuck probably more than people would like. I don't know. Who cares if they like it? I don't know. They're not my people if they have an opinion about it. But when I started to embrace like those sides of me where I kind of just stopped filtering myself with like just the little everyday stuff, man, it really, really shifted how I showed up. And I had people telling me all the time, like once I made that shift, they're like, whoa, you're really showing up differently. I'm like, yeah, I finally started to get on my journey of like no more people pleasing. That was really kind of the shift. I decided I wasn't going to do things out of an obligation to please somebody else. I was going to do it for myself. And that's a big difference.
And that's exactly what I definitely did. And I'm pretty sure Sarah has too. Like we've taken what we've learned, taken that on board, been grateful for that. And then we've changed it, tried different things. I've gone completely out of the box with mine.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing. So we're going to dive right into that because I'm really like, honestly, I've heard bits and pieces of your most recent pivot and journey, but I really want to like dive in and talk about it because you're so right when it comes to programs. Sometimes people get so boxed into the idea like, okay, I bought this thing and this is exactly the thing that I should be doing, like strategy specific or something. And then it doesn't work for them in the way that it works for other people or from the way it works for the person they bought it from. And then they wonder, oh, well, this is total bullshit. It didn't work. And it's like, no, it's not about the strategy. It's about who you're being when you're implementing this strategy and whether you're, like embodying it for yourself, wellness and all of those things, which Aimee is a huge mental wellness advocate. She's a mental wellness coach, but her recent pivot that has me really excited that I really want to talk to her about is her journey into sound healing.
Yeah.
This is something I am like kind of low key obsessed with. Every time I hear a sound bowl, I will stop in my tracks and I'm like, where is this coming from? I need to be near this. It's just a sound, like it speaks to my soul. I love it. Yeah. So start wherever you want in the journey, but how did you come across sound healing? Like, was it ever on your radar?
No, never. No, like, so I'm just trying to think. I started meditating early last year, and just to try and reduce my stress. We were going through a really tough time. My fur baby, or to me, he was my son because I can't have human children, was really sick and then eventually passed away. So I was just stressed out of my head. I was studying full time. I was working full time. My health was really declining, and all right, someone said meditate. So I started meditating, and I'm like, yeah, this works. This helps. I get, especially because I have chronic fatigue or whatever I have. I honestly don't know, to be honest. And, it would give me a bit more energy and I'd feel a bit more relaxed. And I'm like, okay, so this works, but I have an analytical brain. My brain doesn't switch off. And I think that just could be just women in general. We can't switch off because we've got 10,000 things. We're very good at multitasking. But even when we're stressed and we've got so many things on, the brain doesn't shut down, especially when we're trying to sleep. And it's sort of just kind of like, okay. And the coaching program that we were doing, it was like the coaching program was, it was a great program, but it wasn't for me. Like it wasn't in my alignment. It wasn't in my flow. I didn't want the way that it was structured didn't fit me. Mm-hmm. But I did it all, and I did all the things, and I learned so many amazing things, and I met some incredible people like yourself. But it was coming to an end, and I had to figure out what I wanted to do. And I was like, I've spent all this money, but I don't know what I'm going to do. Mm-hmm. I don't know what I'm going to do. And I think it was July, this Facebook ad came up for sound healing, and I've gone, oh, okay. And I was just drawn to it. But I'm just like, oh, yeah, that's cool. And then it kept coming up, like all, Facebook ads do. But it kept coming up. But then, like, in the meditations that I was doing, the sound bowls were coming in. And it was kind of like the universe was going, tip, tip, tap. This might be for you. And then I did a little bit of research into it. And I'm like, okay, cool. So I asked the person that was doing, it was a local course, so that was good. It wasn't overseas. And I just asked some questions. And I hadn't even had a sound bowl session before, a crystal sound bowl session, or even a Tibetan one or any sort of sound healing before. But I know meditation was so powerful and was working for me, and I knew this was the next level. So I asked some questions, and I was getting the feedback, and I just had this feeling that I had to do it. And I signed up for the course, and then I had to wait a couple of months till the course actually started, because I got like an early bird thing. And the course started, and I just loved it. It was just, so we had 72 modules, and I went through them 3 times within a month.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
And look, yes, some of them were only like 5 minutes long, but I would just listen to them while
you were hungry for it.
Yeah. And it was so interesting. So like the background of sound healing, a lot of people because it is now the natural modalities, or the quote unquote alternative modalities are now such a big thing. Mm-hmm. Like crystals, people Google searching crystals, gone up 300% in the last 2 years. Sound healing or meditation, Reiki, all have gone up like 300-400%. And whether that's something to do with COVID or anything like that, don't know. But people are now looking outside the box and looking at these technically ancient practices that have been around for thousands of years and are proving, and now medical science is coming and being involved in doing the tests and saying, hey, this actually really works. So if you probably can see, I've got a couple of bowls next to me. I've got a whole bunch. I've got 7 at the moment.
I love
and
it.
in the background, there's a bit of color. They're tuning forks, and the crystal sound. So that you've got your 2 different bowls. Obviously, you've got your crystal and your Tibetan. And with the crystal, you get the added bonus of like being crystal. So the difference That's the difference between the Tibetan, and they're slightly different frequencies, so they do
Mm-hmm.
different things. But the good thing about sound healing that really got me is that it automatically, whether you like it or not, puts your brain into the alpha and theta waves. So we have our beta state, which is our awake state. Our alpha state is kind of like the relaxed, not stressed state, basically. And theta is our healing, deep sleep, regenerative stuff. So it automatically puts your brain into that. Whether you have ADHD, whether you're a person that can't switch off, it automatically puts your brain into those waves. And I'm like, okay, cool. This is for me because I can't switch off. And I do it. And I love it. I absolutely love it. And I've only really just sort of started doing one-on-one sessions with clients, and eventually I'll be doing groups, and I'll be doing virtuals and all these things. And because it's just so powerful. And to prove, like, I have a fantastic naturopath, and she does live blood analysis. So she basically takes a drop of blood and we put it under a microscope to see what's going on at a cellular level. I took over 2 of my tuning forks, which are the yin and yang ones, and my blood platelets were all stuck together. They weren't doing what they were supposed to be doing. And we're just like, let's see what happens if we just put the tuning forks to it. And we did it, and all the little cells started vibrating. And then the next time we did it, they all started separating and started doing what they were supposed to do. And this is just with the tuning forks. So tuning forks go for about 30 seconds, maybe 40 seconds. So whereas obviously the crystal bowls go for as long as you ring them. Like, if this is just doing this to this one drop of blood, imagine what the bowls are doing to my whole body. And there's been heaps of research into the effectiveness of sound healing. And when you kind of think about it, sound healing is in everyday medicine, because ultrasound is sound healing. Or it's not healing, but it's sending sound waves into your body in order to revert back a picture. So we use it every day. It's just this. Right. This has had a bit of mystique to it, or woo-woo. People go, oh, that's woo-woo, it's not going to work. But it's been around. Actually, during the course, I learned that, originally I can't speak this morning. I've had too much coffee. I don't know. Historians, there we go, said that they originally thought sound healing was developed by the Egyptians. But then they found, I think in the 70s or something, they found a temple in Malta that was 1,000 years older than the pyramids. And it was acoustically attuned to particular frequencies that are used in sound healing today. And they use their voices. And when you think about it, most ancient cultures have a particular thing. So we've got your Native Americans, they have drums, and they used to use drums in their ceremonies. They used to use drums in communication. Here in Australia, we have the First Nations people, and they have didgeridoos, and they have said that the didgeridoos, they used to use it to heal even bones, like fractured bones and stuff like that. And you got obviously Tibet, you've got or your Asian cultures have got their drums and the bowls, and they've got their cymbals, and so most culture, Africans have got drums and other instruments as well. And most cultures will have, whether it's their voice or whether it's some sort of instrument or combined, they will have some sort of sound healing in their culture. So it's been around for a very, very long time, and modern science is now proving that it is actually working and doing things at a cellular level that is completely natural, and not, unless you have I know there's like a particular epilepsy that can be triggered with the vibrations, and being in the first trimester of pregnancy is not recommended to do sound healing, but after that it's fine, because it's just when the baby's ears are being developed. But it's, apart from those two things, it's 100% safe. And all it's going to do is it can cause you to be quite emotional. It can cause you to feel a bit drained, but that's because you've got energy in there that's not good, or you've got a block, or you've got a trauma or something that you've got to process. And at the moment, while I'm doing my sessions, or I just do a session on myself, because I am doing a lot of self-healing, I do kind of feel that drained feeling afterwards. But like the next day I have so much more energy and just generally feel more calm and centered and in a line. And when I walk into my office, and that's the first thing I do is like just tap my bowls, and I talk to them. It's weird. Like, I don't know. It's just,
well, their energy, right?
Energy,
Like you're getting yourself onto their energetic frequency as well. And honestly, I think it's like super interesting, I guess is the right word. I don't know, but I think it's funny how like modern medicine today, in order for something like sound bowls, which are ancient, right? Like as you've said, literally music in some form or fashion has existed in every single culture, right?
Yeah.
Like if you ask any kind of person who works with artifacts or anything like that, like they're going to tell you music has always been a part of the human story. So I think it's funny that modern medicine has to like validate that.
Yeah.
It's like, we don't need your validation, but thanks anyways. But it is so true. Like it's just sound, music. It's something that connects people, and it really is so true. I saw a thing on Instagram the other day, and it's probably because you and I are connected, and I mean we're always talking about this kind of stuff. But it was like this reel where it was showing this guy that had these two tuning forks, and one was like here, and there was like a tennis ball or something hanging from like a string, and it was just next to it. Like it wasn't really touching it. It was just really close to the tuning fork. And then he grabbed another tuning fork that was not of the same frequency and put it near it, and nothing happened. And then he grabbed a tuning fork of the same frequency, like the same hertz or whatever as the one next to the ball. And he just set it there, and the ball just bounced against the tuning fork. It was like, it was alive. It knew that it was time to move. It was in flow. It was in the frequency of whatever would allow it to come alive. And it was like, that's it. I mean, literally everything is vibration and energy. And I mean, if someone is not, if they're like, that's some bullshit woo-woo stuff, fine. Believe whatever you want while we're all over here doing non-evasive healing. That's fine. But so I'm with you on like if I had sound bowls in my presence, I probably would touch them every day as well. And you know, maybe it's in my near future, because I really am so connected to the sound. Like I found a sound on Spotify, which is like my go-to meditation sound. And it's healing sound bowls. And it's like a mix of like sound bowls and some wind chimes and things like that. But there's something about that sound that like it will literally transport me to a different place. Like it creates this whole visualization that feels so incredibly real. And I never actually like feel that the realness of that visualization when I use other sounds. Like I've tried to revisit that place without the sound bowl, and I haven't had success with it. It's crazy.
It is crazy. And I think you shared that ages ago, and that's how I got on to that particular, I think channel, what do you call them, Spotify channel that has a whole bunch of sounds. And they're all different ones. And I used, and this is before I'd signed up for sound healing, but I hadn't done the course yet. And I got quite sick, and I got pneumonia, which is very dangerous for me. And like my parents were freaking out, my husband was freaking out. And I just started using one of the meditation is for immune boosting and healing and stuff. And we just listened to that at night. And I still had to have, unfortunately, the drugs and the medicine drugs, but I was on all my naturopathic stuff as well. And I didn't end up in hospital. I didn't get to the point where, you know, they were all fearing. And it only took me like probably 3 weeks to recover instead of like months to recover. And I think a week later I have lung tests because my lungs are affected with my condition. And they're like, oh, you've just had pneumonia. Your lungs are actually they're back to the base level to which they were before. And I'm like, well, this is good.
See, and
like,
I
I'm not going
think
backwards.
there can be such a good harmony between ancient like ways of doing medicine and modern medicine. Like, okay, take the antibiotic right away to prevent infection if it's something like serious, and then utilize these other modalities that can help your body heal itself. Like, there's so frequently that I feel like people forget that the body is a very intelligent entity, and it is all formed in this way in order to heal itself. Like, that is its purpose, is to stay alive.
Yeah, it's to heal. And I've been looking into this. Like, I'm a big, massive believer in natural health. But yes, modern medicine has its purpose.
Its place, but
has its place, and I fully respect that. And I actually did a recording on this yesterday and talking about my journey with the medical world, because I've been exposed to the medical world pretty much since I think 2 or even earlier, because I was born with this genetic muscular dystrophy. It's a degenerative one, so it gets worse as I get older. I am trying very hard to stop the progress, and I'm a lot better than most people with this condition. And I would say it would have to be because of my pure drive to not accept what, you know, sometimes I question the doctors. Doctors are fantastic in their field, but if you go to them with something outside their field, they're not going to be experts. We're not expected to know everything. And when you have a super rare condition, in the early stages, it was guinea pig. I was a guinea pig, and I got to a point where I'm so sick of this stuff. I'm so sick of just every time I get sick, you just pump me full of drugs and
see what works.
See what works. So this all changed in 2009, and I got really, really sick, and they couldn't figure out what was wrong. And it got to a point, like, this was going on for like a year, and I was in and out of hospital. They thought, you know, my parents got to a point, thought that, you know, I wasn't going to live anymore. My husband, he wasn't my husband at the time, but he was my partner at the time, thought the same thing. Like, it was bad. And it just got to a point where I honestly thought that I had made it up, because the doctors just couldn't figure it out. And so then, like, you just like, I just want this to end. I just want this to end. So the suicide and the mental health became a massive problem too. So when this is not working, this ain't working, and vice versa. So it was like a vicious cycle. And I can't even remember how I got on to my current naturopath, but that's when I found her, and she saved my life. Like, yeah, it took a little while, because there was a lot of damage that the drugs, because they even put me on experimental drugs. So these weren't even approved drugs. And and then I got really better, and then I stopped seeing her. And then I started seeing her again last year, because, like I said, I was very stressed and my health was really suffering. So, and I'm never going to not stop seeing her until she basically retires, I think. But she teaches me as well. Like, she doesn't just go, oh, this, and this, and here's your supplements on your bike. She teaches me as well. And she's opened up my eyes to the natural world. So, you know, I have my condition has high levels of pain, but I don't take pain medication, because I manage it through eating an anti-inflammatory diet, taking the right supplements, and exercise, and the mental side as well, making sure my mental health is right. And yeah, I still have bad pain days, but they're not anywhere near as what they used to be. They're definitely not as frequent. And yeah, it's incredible how much has changed. And so with her, it's opened my eyes up. And recently, I don't know if it's happening on your feed as well, but I've just been getting bombarded with this lady called Barbara O'Neill. And she's a doctor, and she's a natural The actual the medical association has tried to disbar her many times because she is a big believer in the body can heal if you give it the right like fuel to do so.
Right.
And I'm going to speak to my naturopath about it because I guarantee she'd have her books and stuff, but I'm going to get her book. And it just makes total sense.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, so I've just started literally last week. I saw a thing about oil pulling and I'm like, okay, what's this? And it's basically having a little bit of coconut oil in your mouth and you just sort of swish it around. You've heard about it? And
Yeah.
you swish it around for like a minute and then you discard it. And what it's doing is it's pulling all the waste from your tongue and your glands and your throat and all that sort of stuff. And I have noticed from doing it for not even a full week, my tongue is not so swollen. It's because, like I said, I've been taught so if there's certain things on the tongue, what it means in the body. And especially if you have like on the outside of what do you call it, outside, if it's like bumps or red spots, that means there's certain things in certain either your lungs or your liver's not coping very well or your stomach.
Yeah.
That's all gone. Tongues now. I'm bringing up a lot of stuff, but that's the point, is to get rid of all the stuff in your sinuses and your lungs, all that. And it's literally just from having a bit of coconut oil. Now, coconut oil also whitens your teeth naturally.
Yeah.
And also gets rid of, if you fights gum disease and gets rid of bad bacteria in your mouth. And it's just literally having a quick swish. Something as simple as that. Yeah. Magnesium. So many people are magnesium deficient. And I take a lot of magnesium. I probably need to up it, to be honest. I think I've gotten to a point where my body's used to this level. I need to go higher. But I've read a lot about magnesium and it's insane what that does. It's required for every cell in your body. So if you're deficient in it, if you don't have enough magnesium, your cells aren't getting the nutrients and the water. It helps carry water to the cells and all these things. It protects your heart, all these things. So if you're deficient in it, guess what? Your body's not going to be hydrated. Yeah. And all these things. It's just once you get down that rabbit hole.
I'm like you. Like I could get really lost down that rabbit hole. Like lost as in like I'll never stop looking. I'll just keep going. Because that's what I find to be so interesting is like everything that is available to us in the world, like naturally, right? All of our plants, all of our vegetables, like even if you eat animal proteins, like all of these things, like they're created in such a way that they're meant to be symbiotic, unless something is literally poisonous, right? Like a poison dart frog. You're not going to eat that, right? Like it's just not meant to be eaten. But like all of the things that are just existing around you, it is meant to be symbiotic. It is meant to heal you and be part of you. And so if I like have some sort of, if I'm sick, if I've got some sort of ailment, the first thing I think of is what does my body need? Not what drug can I take that's going to put a Band-Aid on the symptom that I'm feeling. Like for example, at the time of this recording, I was sick recently. Yes. Maybe I had COVID. Maybe I didn't. I work from home. I don't see anybody. I never got tested. So it is what it is. But I felt like shit. Like I had a fever. I had terrible cough. I lost my voice for like 4 days. I mean, I felt terrible. But what did I do? I drank twice as much water. I took 3 times as much vitamin C, consuming it in all sorts of different ways, right? Like sometimes you just need to consume things in different ways. But as long as you're getting those minerals, like you said, if you're deficient in magnesium, you can't eat enough dark chocolate to get the magnesium you need. So you need to take a supplement. Yeah. If you're deficient in folic acids, you can't eat enough carrots to get that kind of, boost. So you take a supplement. And so, that's one of the reasons I'm so much more of an advocate to supplementation, and whether that's supplementation with like a capsule of something or supplementation as in, okay, I'm going to eat this particular food X amount of times. to give me the things that I need. But it's kind of sad, like our food industry as a whole. There is just not any nutrients like there used to be. The soil isn't nutrient. All the pesticides are killing everything else. And so it's tricky to get what you need. And then to put a man-made pharmaceutical drug in your body that's meant to mimic what the natural vitamin and minerals should be doing for you. Why is that better? I just don't get it. And I know that might be really triggering for some people that hear this episode. And that's okay. Everybody's entitled to their opinion. But for me, I'm not of that side of the coin. I mean, I have respect for the medical field, of course, but I respect my body more than I respect the medical field. So I'm going to be more curious about it. And like you, I'm going to ask questions.
Yeah. And that's the thing. I have a team of doctors. I'm not going to, I'm not against medicine. I see a team of doctors. I have a cardiologist. I have a lung specialist. I have a neurologist. I have a physio. But I also have a naturopath, a hypnosis. I do my sound healing. I do a lot of self-healing. I do a lot of, I cook a lot of foods. I make, and
you give yourself a really wide toolbox to pull from.
It's a holistic approach. It's a whole body approach.
Right.
It's not just thinking you're going to go to your GP or a specialist and they're going to save you, because my team of doctors, so I've recently transferred from one team to another, and it's just been absolutely amazing because this particular team actually want to do something. They're proactive. They're not reactive. And I'm very proactive. I'm not a person that's just going to sit back and just watch me deteriorate and be like, oh, now you're in a wheelchair, we might do something. No, I'm going to prevent that as long as it's possible I can. And they were just, my husband actually came to an appointment, and he's never really been to any of my medical appointments. And he actually had injured himself, so he was off work. So he just wanted to get out of the house. So I'm like, well, just come and see what it's like. And he was just gobsmacked because he's like, is this what it's like? Because this is really good. And I said, no, this is the first time I've ever had a really good appointment, because they're like, oh, you exercise. Oh, you eat properly. Oh, you're on anti-inflammatory. Wow. We've got all these other clients that don't. They've been brainwashed to accept, like, if you've been told your entire life that there's something wrong with you, you're going to think it. Yeah. And when you start believing it, that's when it embodies you. And look, I'm not a delusional person that's saying I don't have this genetic disorder. Yes, I do, but I don't have to sit back and watch it like control my life. I'm going to live my life as best as possible with it. I'm going to work with it. I'm going to have the vitamins and stuff. And it's all with that, we're talking about the farming and things. Having supplements is fantastic, but you've got to have the right supplements. You can have all natural whole food supplements, not ones that have synthetic things in them. And there is a big industry of supplements in the world.
Oh, yeah.
And a lot of them are full of chemicals, and they say they're all great, and they're not. And I've been, especially with trying to have an online business, been brought into a couple of those companies, and I've really looked into the ingredients. I've gone, this is not good. This is just counteracting. So I stick to what I'm recommending, but I also I don't just sit back and let my naturopath do everything. I do my own research as well. So like I said, that Barbara O'Neill, she is a fantastic resource. But you and I also believe in law of attraction. So we do the whole body as well as our mental side as well. And if someone told me 12 months ago or 2 years ago or whatever that I would be, one, a sound healer, two, I've always been on the natural health bandwagon, but not as much as I am now. But especially with the law of attraction and the stuff like that, I would have told them to fuck off and be like, you're crazy.
You're crazy.
And that's because I was in such a negative mindset. And guess what? My body was in a shocking state. I was fatigued all the time. I was angry all the time. I was stressed. I wasn't sleeping. My weight would fluctuate all the time. I was in a lot more pain. It got to a point where I just was randomly passing out because my oxygen levels were dropping.
Oh
Yeah, scary shit, like really scary shit. And it's like, yeah, and I went to these specialists, some different ones, and they're like, oh, it's because you've got sleep apnea. I don't have sleep apnea. They're like, oh, you need to have this $3,000 mouth guard. And I'm like, no, I don't. I don't need it. Trust me, I don't. And they made me have it. And I'm like, this doesn't work. Like, I tried it for I couldn't even have it in my mouth for 10 seconds because it would just make me sick.
Yeah.
Like literally sick. And thank goodness I got my money back, or to a point. But it was just like, no, you're not listening to me. Sometimes, bless their hearts, they, especially I find if they're if they're like a professor or someone that's quite higher up, they sometimes forget that there is other areas so I kind of like new people go, oh, do you like new ones that are just coming into their becoming a fully registered doctor? I said, I really like them because they're just been at school and they're learning all these new things and stuff. And the older ones tend to be, besides my cardiologist, he keeps up very well with what's going on. But yeah, they kind of
get a little jaded too. Yeah.
Yeah, they stop learning and they're like, oh, I know everything. You never stop learning.
Yeah.
I was like that too. I was like that a couple of years ago, and that's just that whole negative mindset and that non-growth mindset. So I know everything I need to know. I don't really need to know anything else.
Well, I think that's just adulting, right? We naturally get into that state where we feel like we have so much going on. So it's like, I ain't got time to learn something new. I don't even have time to do the things that are already on my plate. And so we just stop. I was recording another podcast episode just the other day, and I said something like, until I started diving into entrepreneurship, I don't think I had picked up a book and read a book for over a decade.
Yeah.
I just hadn't. I had no desire to. I had no drive to. In my mind, I had no reason to. What would I learn? What would I get out of that? What a waste of time that would be, is all I thought. And same, exactly like you. I was the heaviest I'd ever been. I had the worst sleep I was ever had experienced in my life. I was bitchy all the time. I would just get snap at somebody if they, looked at me sideways. And I didn't recognize myself. I had this whole just toxic identity that I had allowed to become this shroud over me. And I looked at myself in the mirror and was like, what the fuck? Who is this person? Enough already. I mean, and that's one of the main reasons, when I did the rebrand of this podcast, where I say in the beginning, so you can finally show the fuck up in your own life, because that's exactly how it felt for me. I made a decision, and it just sort of switched that light switch on. And I was like, whoa, I'm ready to show up in my own life. I am sick of just standing by, getting fat, having no sleep, and being pissed about it.
Yeah.
I'm done with it.
Yeah, that kind of that's sort of that's probably my pet peeve. And I really need to, I'm learning to not let it, the whole thing with, if you have ever heard of Abraham Hicks teachings or Esther and Jerry Hicks teachings, it's it's, that person's doing their own creating of their life, whatever. But it used to frustrate the absolute shit out of me with my friends or even my husband. He's not here. They just took their health for granted and they weren't doing anything to look after themselves. And I'm here, I'm doing all the things, and I was still getting really sick. And it's just oh my God, do look after yourself.
I can't even imagine. I didn't even think about that from your point of view, to see somebody who doesn't have to have these extra hoops to jump through. And you're like, how frustrating.
Yeah. So my husband is obviously a complete polar opposite. He never has to go. He never gets sick. I think he's been like he gets a cold every, once in a blue moon. He's had one really bad cold, and I had to take him to hospital for that. That scared the absolute shit out of me. But apart from his recent injury, he's never had to go into hospital. He's never had to have a whole bunch of tests. He's never had to go to the doctors or anything on a regular basis. So this was a whole new world for him. And he's definitely had a new understanding of it. And he kind of, we've been together for a long time. Like, I think this is our 18th year together. So it's not like he's witnessed a lot of things. But now he kind of has another understanding, like that frustrating understanding that he has now is like when you can't do something that you used to be able to do or anything like that, or when your body's doing something that you can't control, and it's just like, oh, so frustrating. And now like this, my husband's a tradie, and if you are familiar with Australian tradies, they are rough as guts. They are sweary. They don't look after themselves. They are just big burly men, I suppose.
Yeah.
Whether they're skinny or not, they're just like real tough. They don't talk about their feelings and all that. Yeah. And so he doesn't take supplements or anything. But when he injured his arm, I'm like, you need to probably start taking collagen. So now he has collagen in his coffee as well as cacao. I got him onto cacao. And I'm just, look at me go. And
little baby steps.
Just baby steps. But yeah, and he has like vitamin B as well. And he's taking some supplements, but not like a lot, but just the collagen itself. It helps so much. And I've noticed it big time. Like my skin is so much better, like gut health, because collagen.
Well, that's the reason I take a collagen is for the gut health, because everything, like all this that you see, it starts down there. Like it starts in your gut.
Yeah. And, especially for us women or even men as well, your hormones are produced in your gut. Or, the gut triggers the hormone responses in your brain. So if your gut is well out of whack, guess what? Your hormones are going to be well out of whack. And I'm even like now looking into there's now this trend of, now I'm going to forget the word, systematic stretching or something. It's like doing certain exercises that releases trauma or stored emotion in the body. And it's a, you'll lose weight trend, but it's actually been around for a very, very long time. It's actually part of yoga. It's part of the yoga thing. And I'm going to start doing those moves with the help of my physio to help with, because I've got a lot of hip problems. And for people who don't, I'm about to say something that's probably very woo-woo, but Sarah and I do believe in it.
I'll get you.
I'll get you. I started seeing I've had three sessions last year with a person that taps into source, or some people call them mediums or spiritual guides or whatever. Now, I didn't believe it at first. The first session I had, I'm thinking this is my brain was still on the fence. I'm my analytical, criminological brain. I'm in law enforcement. Brain's going, this is total bullshit, blah, 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 blah. And then, but a friend of mine at work who's very spiritual and all that, she said, just do it. Because like I said, my son was very sick. That was the main reason. And I was sick as well. So I'm just like, I'll try anything. And I spoke to this woman and she just started talking. I didn't ask any questions. She didn't ask me any questions. She just started talking. And she asked me a question. And then she asked me a question and then started saying the things that happened with this question. And I've gone, no one knows about that. The only people that know about that are my parents and my doctors. And even because my dad is so against this stuff, he's starting to get on board with the sound healing, but he's very much against the whole spirit thing. But when I told him that, he felt sick because it's so triggering, because it's no one would know.
Yeah.
I've never spoke about it. I've recently spoken about it on a podcast now. I think the one I recorded yesterday. So, maybe I haven't. but no one would know. I've never spoken about it online. There's no way she could have researched it and all that stuff. So I'm just like, okay, this is real. And she was going inside my body, and she's going, you're seeing a naturopath, aren't you? And I said, yeah. And she's like, your naturopath, stay with her as long as you possibly can, because she's doing amazing things. And there was like a particular thing that we couldn't quite get, like, and she's like, she was somehow going through source or whatever, going through my body. And she's like, this. And I instantly, after the session, I text my naturopath, and she's gone, that's exactly what's been missing. And we started taking it, and got better. Like, amazing. And she gave me all these resources and stuff to do. So whether you believe it or not, that particular person has put me on this path even more. And I had a session with her just before Christmas, and she does, like, she's not online. So she's not online. So she doesn't know what I've been doing. She doesn't look, she's an artist. She doesn't promote. She doesn't say that she is that she can tap into source, or whatever you want to call it.
Right.
Like, she doesn't promote it. It's not her job. Like, it's not her business. She's a professional artist. She's very, very good at it. And she's like, have you been doing something with music? Because this morning I was just called to my bowls, and I never played my bowls. And I just started playing my bowls. And as soon as I started playing with them, your face came into picture. I said, yeah, I've just become a sound healer. And I just turned my camera around, showed her my bowls. She's like, that's why. And she's like, and she's like, everyone on the other side is like screaming, yes, 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 this is definitely for you. And I was sort of like, have I, the whole ego kicks in and saying, you've just spent more money on another course that's not going to work out. This is not going to work for you, all that kind of stuff. But she's like, no, your ego's always going to say that nonsense, or the nasty bitch in your head, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's always going to say that, because guess what? You're going out of your comfort zone. You're going into the fear. You're going into things, and your subconscious is always going to pull you back to try and keep you safe. And the podcast that Sarah and I are going to record, we're going to talk about punching through the door of fear and just doing things for that purpose, and trying new things outside the box. Hey, if it doesn't work, I didn't tell anyone that I was seeing this woman. So if it didn't work, no one's going to know. But there's so many. So like I said, I work in law enforcement. So I work with police officers, and I take my tuning forks in to work, and I tune police officers who are like, these people are not, some of them are into meditation and stuff like that, and they love it. They can't wait for me to bring my bowls in. But some of them are just never heard of this stuff. And I go, do you want to have a go? And they're like, why not? And they're like, they listen to it, and they're like, that's so calming. So, that's 30 seconds. Imagine what the bowls could do. And they're like, when are you going to do that session? Are you going to bring your bowls? And I said, yeah.
Oh, I love that you're going to do that. With your
I'm going to do it at work.
That's awesome.
And so it's opening up people's eyes to just a different way, and reducing stress. Stress is the number one killer in the world.
Yeah.
And it's not reported, because stress causes the cancers, causes the autoimmune diseases. We'll get there in the end. Autoimmune disease. It causes all the serious health issues. If you wind it all back and look at the original cause, you'll go, that person was stressed out of their head. They're in chronic stress mode, all this sorts of stuff. Yeah. Guess what? I've been in chronic stress mode for a long period of time, and I can tell you the damage that it does. I'm still recovering from the damage it does, because it's absolutely, and it's, I know we're probably getting into the overtime stuff, but, it's not a coincidence that people in frontline services, as soon as they retire, unfortunately, a lot of them get sick and they pass away very young.
Yeah.
And in the last week, we've had, the state of Queensland, and Queensland's like a big state. I think Texas fits in it 1.5 times, or nearly 2 times.
Oh, wow.
But we have, I think, Queensland Police have about, I want to say 4,000 staff, maybe 5. say five, like five, right?
Mm-hmm.
So 5,000 staff. In the last week, we've had 6 people pass away suddenly
Oh my
because we
God.
get announcements, and that's throughout the state. And it's like,
Wow.
and I'm just like, and these people are in their 60s or below.
That's
60s
sad.
or below, or 70s, you know, sometimes they're retired officers, but they're only, so police officers in Australia, or especially Queensland, as soon as they turn 60, they have to retire. They can come back as civilians, like I'm a civilian, but they have to retire from active, it's called active duty, so they have to retire active duty. So, yeah.
Wow. And it really is so true, though, like the stress, it'll just live in your body. And when you're in that fight or flight mode, that's kind of what's keeping you alive. And then the moment, like you're saying, these police officers, they release that fight or flight mode, but that stress is still somewhere and it's got to go somewhere. So it's like, it goes to the pancreas, it goes to the stomach, it goes to the throat, it goes like, and then all of a sudden you've got illness because now it's found its place, its dormant spot. And it's like, this is good. I'm going to live here and I'm going to feed on this organ.
Yeah. And we can take it back even to everyday people. So if you're a person that always gets sick on vacation, how many people say, oh, we went on this vacation and I got sick. I was sick the entire time. That's because your body has come out of fight response.
Yeah.
And it's gone, oh, okay, we don't have to have these chemicals going anymore. And guess what? When those chemicals stop, your body goes, okay, cool. The immune system is at such a weak low point, it picks up any bug that's around, or a dormant bug that you've had in your body that because of those fight hormones have kept it at bay. And then as soon as you go, oh, it goes, oh,
yeah, I'm here.
Party time.
It really is so wild.
How many, I reckon so many, actually, let's get a converse, like if you're a person that gets sick every time you go on like vacation, put in the comments, say yeah, because I guarantee that's because you've probably been in fight response for or being stressed, because you're always so stressed before a big holiday. Like I'm about to go on a really big holiday. My husband and I are taking 3.5 months off work. We're traveling for 108 days in a caravan. We're doing nearly a lap of Australia and with our 2 fur babies. And yeah, we're going to do something ridiculous like 25,000 kilometers or 30,000 kilometers, something like
I'm
crazy.
So excited for you to do that.
I know.
Honestly.
You're like,
I cannot wait to hear about it. Like once a week, just pop in a messenger and be like, oh my gosh, I saw this week. I saw this. Because that is like one of my dreams, is to just be able, and I actually can feel that this isn't that far in the future, because it's something I'm like putting out in the universe. So I'm creating it, I'm making it happen, and everything is aligning for it to happen. But what I am really desiring here in the near future is like once a quarter, so like every 3 months, my husband and I, we pick up and we go live somewhere that we've always wanted to see. So it's not like we're taking constant vacations. It's that, no, we're going to be working. Like we'll take our, 1-2 days off out of the week, like we normally would living here, but we're just going to go live somewhere else for like 3 months. We're going to embody the culture. We're going to be there. We're going to figure out, explore places we've never seen before. We're still going to make money and we're still going to work. Yeah. And then in 3 months, we're going to pick up and go somewhere else. And maybe it's based on seasons. Maybe it's based on like, I am so excited to do that. And like, I know that that's going to happen because we're travelers and we don't have any kids, like just like you, we have a dog. And so we can pick up and do whatever we feel like. And, even people that have kids, like you can live the life you want to live. You just have to think about logistics, the things that are actually really important to you. And sometimes you just have to make those, face those choices.
And don't let it come to a point where you get a serious medical issue and say, hey, holy shit, I need to do something with my life. Don't let it get to that point. But I've been trying to get Sarah to come to Australia so much.
Oh, Australia's on the list.
Luring her.
100%. I'm there.
I definitely think after this trip, you'll be like, I'll be there. I'll meet you. Meet you
Yeah.
on the road.
100%. I
Yeah.
know. I can't wait for it. Okay. So as we sign off today, I know that Amy's going to have some free resources for you guys, some
Yeah.
meditations, maybe even some sound bowl healing stuff. So we'll
Yes.
put
100%.
something together that's really fabulous for you. It'll be in the show notes. And honestly, like if you ever have had any kind of inclination for sound healing, if you're an advocate for mental wellness, you got to get connected with Aimee because I mean, she's quite literally experienced all the facets of it, outside of just like the regular human. Like she's the
Yeah.
human that has had the chronic illnesses that is now on the other side of it,
Yeah.
while also still sort of being in it too. So, that's why I think your point of view is so unique, and
Yeah.
why, you don't have this jaded sensibility around it. You are a seeker, you're a learner, and you're not guilting yourself into, a lifestyle that you don't want to be a victim to. Like you're taking
Yeah.
your power. So I think it's just amazing. Anything you'd like to say as we sign off today?
Yeah, if you're interested in sound healing, just reach out, and I'm more than happy to share with you like where to start. Like you don't like if you unless you want to actually become qualified. Like I am qualified to do this. But if you're just one that just wants to dabble at home, like you just want it for yourself at home, reach out and I'll tell you which bowls, because there's a lot of imitation bowls out there, so you need the certain frequencies for certain things. Or if you're a person that feels like you've tried a whole bunch of different things, but you just can't flow. Like you just can't get that flow. It's probably a chakra block.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't go into chakra blocks. Like I'm still learning all this stuff. Like every time I feel like I'm pulling it back like a layer and a layer, and I'm like, oh, this is
Yeah.
it's so incredible. But I did one sound healing this week on a friend, and she has been going through a really, really, really tough time. She lost 2 friends to suicide. Oh, one passed away from cancer, and one committed suicide because that person passed away. So she's been going through a really tough time. She also worked in child protection like I did. So we've been exposed to horrific things for a long period of time in a really high stressful job. So she's in this sort of limbo crossroads of trying to figure out what she wants to do with her life.
Mm-hmm.
And, been there, done that, doing it now, trying to figure it out. And I said, look, come and do a free session. I'm still practicing. I'm trying to find my groove sort of thing. Come and do a session. And this session went for an hour. And she went home. She said she was really emotional, but she let it all out. And the next day she had a really good day. And she hasn't had a really good day she can't remember. And then the next day she's she's jumped through the fear and signed up to study what she's always been wanting to do. And I'm not saying that's because of the sound healing, but it definitely helped.
Right.
Helped her, whether it was just a bit of an energy shift, or even whether she just got out of her head for 10 minutes or 15 minutes, and she was able to allow to connect with her inner self and her intuition and go, hey, what you're thinking is right. We should really do this. Then that happened. So, yeah. I'll definitely be sharing a couple of links with Sarah for some sound, some meditations, and this has been.
I love that. And that's what's so powerful about this kind of modality is it really just helps you see things differently, release some stuck energy. That's what is so amazing about the healing journey. When you find the right kind of healing journey for you, it should feel easy. It shouldn't be incredibly hard and confusing and you don't understand any of it. It should be one of those moments where it's like taking a big deep breath. You're like, whoa, this is the thing I've been searching for. And so maybe sound healing can be that for you, right? And that's why we do these episodes. Because sometimes if you haven't been exposed to it and you're just not aware of it, if you're not aware, you're not aware.
Yeah, you don't know.
And that's how it goes. Yeah. So thank you so much, Aimee, for sharing this. I am so excited for this journey that you're on. And I'm just cheering you on from the other side of the world and hopefully maybe in person one day.
Yes, definitely. Not one day, definitely. We'll put it in
definitely. All right, you guys. I hope you enjoyed the show. Until next time, we'll see you.
Bye.
Thank you so much for listening to Branded, the podcast. Please rate and review. And for more information, visit socialjanemedia.com. I'll see you soon.